There's a moment in life that can stop you in your tracks. For many people over 50, it happens in a doctor's office, when you hear a phrase you never thought would apply to you. Stage 5 kidney disease. It sounds final, frightening, like the ground has dropped out beneath your feet. The usual next words are dialysis or transplant, and while those treatments save lives, they can also feel like a life sentence of endless hospital visits and dependence. But here's a truth most people don't realize. There are ways to manage this condition, sometimes even to avoid dialysis altogether, and to reclaim a measure of independence and hope. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Vital Science for Seniors. Today we're going to journey together through 5 proven strategies that can help protect your kidneys, ease your symptoms, and allow you to live with more dignity, strength, and joy. When I first meet patients with stage 5 kidney disease, I can often see the fear in their eyes before a word is spoken. They know their kidneys are barely working. They've heard the word dialysis whispered in waiting rooms. And yet, what they long for is not just more time, but more life. More mornings with energy, more evenings with their grandchildren, more freedom from the constant cycle of hospitals. That's where conservative management comes in. Instead of rushing immediately into machines and tubes, we sometimes step back and ask, how can we make the body work with what's left? Imagine your kidneys as a pair of tiny coffee filters that have become thin and clogged. Instead of throwing them away, conservative care is like rinsing those filters carefully, adjusting the grind of the coffee, and pouring the water more slowly. The goal is not perfection, but function, enough to keep life moving. Medications like ACE inhibitors or ARBs help control blood pressure, taking the load off the kidneys like easing pressure in a fragile pipe. When diabetes is in the mix, which it often is, keeping blood sugar steady becomes just as important because sugar crystals in the bloodstream are like tiny shards scratching those delicate filters. I remember a patient named Mr. Alvarez, a retired teacher in his late 60s. When he was first told he might need dialysis, he broke down. He had always been independent, loved to work in his garden, and the thought of being tethered to a machine terrified him. Together with his care team, we focused on conservative management. His blood pressure medications were carefully tuned, and a renal dietitian helped him craft meals that cut back on sodium and potassium while still being flavorful. With support from his wife, he began daily walks to keep his circulation strong. 3 years later, he was still off dialysis, still gardening, and still living his story on his own terms. Now let's talk about diet. Food is not just fuel, it's medicine, especially for fragile kidneys. One of the most powerful tools is the very low protein diet, or VPD. Think of protein like firewood. In a healthy body, the kidneys easily carry away the ashes. But when the kidneys are failing, those ashes build up as toxins, creating fatigue, nausea, and confusion. By reducing protein intake, we reduce the ashes, easing the burden on the filters. Studies have shown that carefully supervised low-protein diets can delay the need for dialysis. In fact, a 2018 review in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology highlighted how reducing protein intake in advanced kidney disease slowed progression for many patients, provided nutrition was monitored closely. Of course, it must be done with precision. Too little protein, and the body begins to cannibalize muscle, leading to weakness. Too much and the toxins overwhelm the kidneys. That's why close guidance from a kidney specialist and dietitian is essential. The diet often includes low-potassium foods, such as apples, grapes, cauliflower, and rice, which help protect the heart from dangerous rhythms that can occur when potassium builds up too high. Salt must be trimmed back too, because sodium is like a sponge, pulling water into the body and raising blood pressure, which adds to kidney strain. One woman I cared for, Mrs. Lane, loved cooking for her big family. When she learned she had to follow a diet for kidney disease, she felt it was a punishment. But together with her dietitian, she discovered new ways to season food with lemon, garlic, herbs, and spices that kept her meals flavorful while still protecting her kidneys. Her children told me later that Sunday dinners at her house were still the highlight of their week. She hadn't lost her role as the family matriarch. She had simply found a new way to express it. These approaches, medications, conservative symptom care, and a very low protein diet, don't just protect the kidneys. They protect dignity. They give people over 50 a chance to keep their independence, to manage high creatinine without feeling hopeless, and to stay connected to the lives they love. When the kidneys weaken, one of the greatest challenges is the silent buildup of toxins in the blood. People often describe it as feeling heavy, foggy, or perpetually tired, as if their body has become a house where the garbage collectors went on strike. Waste piles up in every room, and soon the air feels suffocating. Dialysis is like bringing in industrial trucks to haul the trash away, but for some people, there are gentler ways to help reduce the load. That's where toxin-reducing therapies come in. Approaches like activated charcoal and gum arabic, which may not replace dialysis, but can ease the journey and buy precious time. Activated charcoal is one of those remedies that sounds almost too simple. Picture a sponge with countless tiny pores. That's what charcoal becomes when it's activated. An enormous surface area that can trap toxins, particularly urea, right in the digestive tract. Instead of letting those waste products slip into the bloodstream, charcoal binds them and escorts them out of the body through the stool. For someone with high creatinine and advanced kidney disease, this can feel like opening a window in that cluttered house, letting some fresh air back in. I once worked with a man named Harold, who was in his 70s and struggling with stage 5 kidney disease. He was nauseated nearly every day, his appetite gone, and his skin itched so much at night that he couldn't sleep. After careful evaluation, we introduced activated charcoal under medical supervision. Within weeks, his itching eased, his nausea softened, and though his numbers didn't magically return to normal, his quality of life noticeably improved. Harold described it as getting a piece of myself back. Of course, charcoal isn't perfect. It can cause constipation or interfere with medications, so it must always be monitored by a doctor, but in the right situation, it becomes a tool of relief. Then there's gum arabic, a gentle, natural substance derived from the acacia tree. Unlike charcoal, gum arabic works in a more indirect but equally fascinating way. It acts as a prebiotic, nourishing the healthy bacteria in the gut. Why does that matter? Because when those good bacteria thrive, they can help break down toxins before they ever trouble the bloodstream. Think of gum arabic as planting a small but powerful cleanup crew inside the digestive system, workers who carry away some of the waste before it becomes a burden on the kidneys. Research has begun to reveal its promise. A 2021 study showed that gum arabic supplementation slowed the progression of chronic kidney disease in some patients, with benefits that lasted even months after stopping the supplement. Another trial found it reduced inflammation and oxidative stress in patients on dialysis, which suggests it has protective effects not only on the kidneys, but also on blood vessels and other organs. In simple terms, it may help quiet the fire of inflammation that burns steadily in kidney disease. Still, gum arabic is not a miracle cure. Some people may experience bloating, digestive upset, or rare allergic reactions. Like any therapy, it must be tailored to the person. But for those who tolerate it well, it can be a subtle ally, a quiet partner helping reduce the garbage piles in that metaphorical house so that life inside feels breathable again. What I love most about these therapies is not just the science, but the hope they represent. Patients often feel that once their kidneys reach stage 5, their story is written in stone, dialysis or death. Yet approaches like activated charcoal and gum arabic show that even in the darkest chapters, there are still pages left to write. They remind us that while dialysis saves lives, there are also gentler tools that can ease symptoms, reduce toxin buildup, and allow people to keep more control over their journey. For many older adults, that sense of control is priceless. It's the difference between feeling like a passive patient on a conveyor belt of treatments and feeling like an active partner in one's own healing. And sometimes that shift in mindset, from helplessness to empowerment, can make all the difference. When we talk about healing, it's easy to focus only on machines, medications, and lab numbers. But healing is also about how people feel in their daily lives, their energy, their comfort, their ability to share meals with family or laugh with friends. For centuries, people have turned to plants for support, and in stage 5 kidney disease, certain herbal and natural remedies may play a role. They are not magic bullets, and they can never replace dialysis or transplantation when those are truly needed. But they can help calm the storm inside the body, especially when guided by knowledgeable hands. Take turmeric, for example, that golden spice many of us keep in the kitchen. Inside turmeric lies curcumin, a compound known for its powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Inflammation is like a fire that smolders within the body, damaging blood vessels, nerves, and organs. And in kidney disease, that fire often rages unchecked. Curcumin works like a gentle firefighter, cooling the flames and protecting tissues from further harm. Some studies, including research published in Frontiers in Pharmacology, have shown that curcumin can reduce markers of inflammation and oxidative stress in chronic kidney disease patients. Then there's milk thistle, with its compound silymarin. Traditionally known for supporting the liver, silymarin also helps reduce oxidative damage, a sort of rusting that occurs within our cells. Think of it like a protective shield, guarding both the liver and kidneys from the barrage of toxins and inflammation that accumulate when kidneys are weak. For some patients, incorporating silymarin under medical guidance has meant less fatigue and improved lab markers of oxidative stress. Resveratrol, the compound found in the skin of red grapes and berries, adds another dimension. You may have heard it linked to red wine and heart health. In the context of kidney disease, resveratrol helps by improving circulation and reducing inflammation. If the kidneys are like fragile filters, then healthy blood flow is the stream that keeps them from clogging too quickly. Resveratrol supports that stream, ensuring nutrients and oxygen can reach tissues more effectively. Quercetin, found in onions, apples, and citrus fruits, is another quiet protector. Imagine it as a janitor moving through the body, sweeping away harmful free radicals that otherwise damage cells. Free radicals are unstable molecules that accelerate aging and disease, and in kidney failure, they accumulate in excess. Quercetin helps neutralize them, easing some of the invisible burden on organs. But here is where the story becomes more complicated. Because while these herbs and compounds offer real potential, they also carry risks. Herbal remedies are not regulated with the same strict standards as prescription medications. One brand of turmeric capsule may contain a pure, safe dose, while another may be contaminated with heavy metals. Some herbs can interact dangerously with kidney medications, thinning the blood too much, raising blood pressure, or straining the liver. I've seen patients order supplements online only to land in the emergency room from unexpected interactions. That's why I always remind people that natural does not automatically mean safe. Nature gives us gifts, but those gifts must be used wisely. Working with a nephrologist or integrative physician who understands both conventional and herbal medicine is essential. I think of Mrs. Chen, a 72-year-old grandmother who came to me exhausted, discouraged, and worried about dialysis. She was already on careful conservative management, but wanted to explore supportive remedies. With her doctor's blessing, she added small doses of curcumin and increased her intake of quercetin-rich foods like apples and onions. She also began drinking green tea daily, another rich source of antioxidants. Within months, her energy improved, her skin looked brighter, and her mood lifted. While her lab numbers didn't reverse the disease, her day-to-day quality of life was markedly better. She told me, "I feel like I got some of my sparkle back." That sparkle is not something a lab test can measure, but it matters. It matters to her children, to her grandchildren, and most of all, to her. These supportive, natural remedies, when used thoughtfully, remind us that kidney disease is not just about organs failing, it's about whole people striving to live fully. For many people living with stage 5 kidney disease, the ultimate hope is not to stay forever on dialysis, but to receive a kidney transplant. Unlike dialysis, which only cleans the blood a few times each week, a transplant can restore the continuous, elegant filtering that healthy kidneys provide every second of every day. It's not an easy road. There are evaluations, waiting lists, medications to prevent rejection, but for those who are eligible, it offers the greatest chance at a longer, fuller life. Studies show that transplant patients often live 10 to 20 years longer than with dialysis alone, and many regain the freedom to travel, to work, to share life's moments without being bound to a machine. Not everyone is a candidate, but for those who are, transplantation represents the most permanent solution we have today. the closest thing to giving the body back its lost rhythm of life. If you've stayed with me through this journey, I want you to know something deeply important. Stage 5 kidney disease is not the end of your story. Yes, it is serious. Yes, it demands care, courage, and sometimes difficult choices. But it also opens the door to possibility. With the right strategies, conservative care, smart nutrition, toxin-reducing therapies, natural remedies, and in some cases, transplantation, you can still live with dignity, energy, and hope. I have seen people in their 70s take back their independence, and I have seen families draw closer as they walk this path together. Remember, your kidneys may be weak, but you are not. You are stronger than you know, and change is possible at any age. I'm Dr. Brian, and this has been Vital Science for Seniors. If this message gave you hope, please share it, and let's keep walking toward health together.